having a chat about what they did with each other when they were in Kamunting together all those years ago. And it's a really lovely way to diffuse this so-called tension between PAS and DAP, and to create this idea, or rather to create an awareness that, it's possible that the relationships between the people in PAS and DAP may go beyond the politics. It's great. And you know what? I'm seeing people on this side, some of them, sincere people who are prepared to just stand up and say, you know what, I've gone to jail, I've been screwed around with it. Anwar talks about how he's been measured, probed, all sorts of things, it's quite disgusting stuff, but we accept it. And the reality is it's happened to them, not in a way that the other side can even say they've experienced. They sit there, they swan around, they talk about how they suffer, they cry a tear or two, and then they get into their Lamborghinis and drive off. Right? I figured that the opposition should be filming everyone who drives up to BSC, up here, with their drivers and their bodyguards. And there's enough material there to put the next head of MACC into work and employment for at least the entire tenure that he has. Really, honestly, the extent of corruption, the cronyism, the arrogance, etc., etc., etc. I don't have to tell you all of this. We all know that. The question now is this: what do you do about it? What do we do about it? And I think we really don't have a choice anymore. Do we carry on? If we do, all right, we have a system that's obviously on the decline. But more worryingly, we have a very large community within Malaysia, community that's been told that they're not good enough, who've been bred, fed, nurtured on a steady diet of political Islam, on racial identity issues, who are now thinking that if I can't go this way, I may as well go that way. And that's a threat that we have to be very, very aware of. So, in all of that, you might say, then why should we be supporting PAS? Now, PAS is quite interesting. To them, it's an ideology. And I think none of us can argue against the fact that any one of us is entitled to set up a political party based on a political ideology that that he or she may believe in. It may be Hinduism. It may be Christianity. PAS did it based on Islam. Nothing wrong with that. And as lawyers, we should be standing up and saying they're fully entitled to do that under the Constitution. But the moment they cross over and they start saying, you can't say that because that's against Islam, and Islam is the supreme law of this land, then you have to tell them go to hell, or wherever it is that they go to, right? But the thing is, the question is really, would we be allowed to do that in the system? Right now, we're not allowed to do that. I know, we've been trying for many, many years to do it. Not to say go to hell, but other things. All right? And we've been told by UMNO that we can't because it rocks the boat. 2008, this is the last anecdote, then I'll take my seat. 2008, I was fortunate enough to have been part of a small group of people that got to meet Badawi. All right? And in this very open discussion between us, we talked about the problems that we were facing as activists in this so-called Islamic constitutional area, right? At that point, Revati had just been put into a rehabilitation center in Malacca for doing what the law expected her to do, which is that if you want to get out of the faith, you have to go to a Sharia court and get an exit order. She claimed to be Hindu. She was raised as a Hindu. She said, all right, I'm going to do what they expect me to do. And she went to the Sharia court in Malacca, and she was promptly put into a rehabilitation center for 108 days. The child was taken away and put with the grandparents on the Malay side. Okay, so we were with Badawi, and we said, there's this problem, And he said, maybe he was kidding around, I'm not sure, but it's not the kind of thing we kid around about. He says, you mean there are rehabilitation centers? I said, oh dear, all right, this is not a very good and auspicious start to this. And we said, that it's all over Al Jazeera. And you had all these political assistants looking down everywhere else but at him. And the AG was sitting next to me. We said, maybe you should ask him, he knows. And he goes, oh, well, I think we have to look into this and see what we need to do, etc., etc. So we said to him quite openly, isn't this something that you think needs to be addressed? Don't you think that people out there are going to be reacting to this? And his very honest answer was, what do you do, The politics of it prevents response. So, Willem Pasak's article is interesting because what it says is Najib is a victim of his politics. And I agree. Any reform that the Barisan is speaking about is a victim to the same politics. And we're never going to see change. It's as simple as that. That is the state of the nation as I see it. And this is why I think we have no choice but to vote Pakatan Rakyat this next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy and Imtiaz. I'm going to open up the floor, but can I just say something about Ibrahim Ali, Tommy? You will notice that among the sacked UMNO candidates today who stood as independents, the guy who withdrew for no reason in Pasir Mas was not one of them. So he's still an UMNO member. But I must say this, Kelantan being my adopted state, I must say that the last time Ibrahim Ali stood as an independent, he got 475 votes and lost his deposit. And the current saying in Kelantan today is, if you see Ibrahim Ali, box his ears. So Kelantan has shown the finger to Mahathir for close to 30 years. So there are some pockets of great democratic kind of thing in this country. They're not in Bangsa necessarily, but they are somewhere in the wilderness. So let me just open the floor up to questions. Could I see hands? Starting on this side, one, only 1, 2, 3, 4. That side. Anyone on that side? No. Okay. Let's start with you, please. And can you introduce yourself and let the question follow? I've got a mic.